Yeah.
Chat.
Nothing. No information's up there. No title.
What?
Nope.
What do you mean the title didn't come up?
Did you put it in there?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have anything else ready.
Oh. Well. It's in there. Wait, what are you serious?
I mean, no. Keep going. It's fine.
Hold on, wait a second. Wait a second.
Fix now.
Did the title really not
Title's
get
up there, yeah. No keywords though.
Oh, you didn't get the keywords in? Why not? You have some time.
Taking notes.
Well, that's what. Hey, chat's up now.
Excellent.
Sweet. We're here. That's what's important. You're here. One person is here. That's really important.
Somebody's here.
Whoever that one person is, we are grateful. Don't have us down as ungrateful. Don't. Hey, please. Give us a minute.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm gonna call 20 seconds because he needs more time. All of a sudden, I don't know what that's all
You don't
about.
know?
I don't know. I don't know what you're doing over there. I don't know where it's all coming through. 10 seconds because 10 seconds. It's Brad.
Oh, Brad's here.
What's up?
Hey, hello.
5,
How's it going?
4, 3. Hey, everybody.
Yo.
Welcome. Mike and Corey here, Not Your Average Show. It
What
is
is
October.
Going on.
What is it?
18.
It's 18th, 2021. Mike and Corey back with you again with another Not Your Average Show.
Always
Set
not
of
average.
non-exclusives. Nothing we do here is really exclusive except when we make our own content.
Never average.
Because, well, no, it's never average, but only reason being is because we have to basically prey off the news feeds of others in order to bring you the latest news in the EV technology, aviation, EV toll, gaming, and whatnot that we see fit to bring you. That is an average, right? I guess that's what it comes down to.
Stuff that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
How was your weekend?
Good. Oh, it was good. You?
The house is recovered for the most part. We are done with the repipe situation, so that's nice. And I guess the other thing is we're going to be going to an evening schedule here in the next 2 weeks. A lot of life changes for both of us. So with that, there will be a change in scheduling. We're going to figure out what days it's going to be, but I don't know. Those might even change because it might become Tuesday,
Not sure, yeah.
Thursday, Saturday or something. I don't know. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
But we're still going to be what?
We will see.
Yeah, we haven't even discussed it. Maybe we should start discussing it now.
Well, the order?
Yeah.
We know who's talking about what.
I know, no, not the order. About what the new schedule is going to be. We haven't even discussed that. Shows you how prepared we are around here, folks. We're above average in communication. We telepathically communicate.
That's right. Yeah. You guys don't see it because we don't even see it happens.
It just
magical.
Now we sound like lunatics, don't we? All right. What are we talking about today? So today we have some stuff from Foxconn in our ongoing coverage between Foxconn, what happened at the Lordstown, Ohio plant and their investment in that. And they released some cars, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Guess who also released some cars is Honda, but they're EVs and guess they're not coming to America.
Nope.
So that's kind of I guess it's a weird thing. Then also we're going to look at it's going to be Cyclotech, which is their rotocopter, which took a first flight quite a while ago, but it's actually hitting the airwaves now on YouTube. We got a couple of things to discuss about their technology and their platform. And then finally, Corey found a really interesting article about who is the biggest investor right now in self-driving technology. And it is quite surprising to see which names lead that list. So we're going to be talking about all that. It's like a game show. We didn't discuss the order. I got my blank notes here to start.
Amazing.
You want to go first, or who's?
Sure.
Which one?
Kick it to Foxconn.
Okay, all right. We'll kick it. We'll kick it. Yeah, sure.
Okay,
It's
cool.
all
Awesome.
you.
Excellent. Am I ready to go? Excellent.
You're ready to go.
Perfect. Amazing. Hey, how's everybody doing? Glad to see you. Yeah, welcome back. And this one comes to us from Rodin Show or CNET. One of their fine. It's all over the place. But yesterday I had seen that Foxconn actually was going to have an announcement about EVs this morning, and it did come out before the show. So excellent. Here it is. Basically, the title says Foxconn reveals 3 electric vehicles, including a Pininfarina, basically the design house that helps Ferrari design out some of their designs. They're also helping Foxconn in this case for their sedan. So we'll talk about that here in just a moment too. So The big catch here too, if you and just feed Foxconn, a Taiwanese company, best known for making a lot of products and components for iPhones. Right, so if you got an iPhone, bam, you've got Foxconn in your hand most likely. Yeah, right over there. So the three designs they said though, hey, we're gonna go into electric vehicles, a pretty hot market as well, obviously. And again, that again dovetails exactly what Mike said about the Lordstown purchase, Ohio, the factory there that
What was it, 240 million?
I'm not familiar. I can't remember what is off the top of my head.
I think it was
The actual
240.
price, but
Yeah.
yeah. So, and then actually, if you also recall a little bit through there as well, Fisker is involved with that plant as well.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, this is about Foxconn. Foxconn released those three designs. They're calling them the Model C, the Model E, and the Model T. I might think Ford might have something to say about the Model T, but we'll leave that for future news.
It's a bus.
Could be a thing that we'll hear about again, since Model T, Ford, you get the idea. Nevertheless, the Model C, Charlie C, that's the SUV, and that platform is going to be using their new a skateboard platform that we've been talking about as well. That's supposed to be it's 4-door, so it's not a really large SUV, but they have it kind of targeted more to like city living.
Right.
Still supposed to be big enough that you can use for most stuff, but an SUV for like, you know, they're giving it an initial range of 434 miles currently. So we'll see how that ends out. Coefficient is pretty good too for drag. They're saying it's a 0.27 drag coefficient, pretty decent.
Nice
for an SUV, right? The Model E, the second one I wanted to talk about, that's the sedan. It looks pretty good to me. Not as edgy as like a Ferrari would be, but again, that's not the point. It's supposed to be an electric SUV again for Foxconn's company, and actually I didn't mention before, but Foxconn, their company is called Foxtronn. Foxtronn.
Are you a user or?
So there you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's why there's so many like lights on this thing. We'll probably show you a video too. It's got a really big light bar on the front. The turn signals are these LED panels. It's pretty cool. But it fits the whole Foxtronn thing well.
Oh, hold on a second. We have a video.
You got it?
No, I don't. I didn't know we were playing the video. Hold on. Is it embedded?
It was the YouTube video.
Oh, hold on.
It might not be. Oh, it might not be in this article.
Hold on.
While he's looking that up, I'll keep chatting. It's a pretty cool, kind of like a teaser video. But anyway, so that's the Model E, right? Again, that little bit of an Italian design there, pretty cool. There's actually Italian badges on the quarter panel. If you look at the picture there, right in front of the front door, that's their badge there too. They're saying that's supposed to be a range of about 466 miles, so a little bit better. Price there. And 0 to 60, 2.8 seconds. Again, it's an electric SUV, not slow. Not the quickest, but definitely not slow. And 750 horsepower about. I don't know if it's rear drive, all drive, don't know that yet, but anyway, plenty fast. And they're also saying that the back of the sedan transforms into a mobile office. Not sure what that's really all about.
Interesting.
And also, you know, hey, because why not? A car will unlock once it sees your face as you walk up to it. So, you know, mobile unlock with your face, which, okay, I mean, cool. Hopefully nobody has, you know, just a picture of you over their face. I don't know. We'll see how the security ends up there. But
all right.
And the final one there is the Model T, the bus, which actually seems to be the one that's most far along in the development. They said they've already done 124,000 miles of endurance testing and strength testing of 1,000 hours of the platform itself. So that's probably pretty well on its way. And that's a range of 250 miles, but again, all electric. And the Model T, the name. So again, we'll see if that sticks. So yeah, Mike, what do you think about that? A little bit longer intro, but there's a few things there definitely got to cover.
I think the biggest teaser out of that is the bus. I didn't see the bus coming from anybody in a while. That's great, because if you want to get into heavy industry and you want to prove your worth, sometimes it's better to sell to municipalities and to, you know, fleet users in that respect. So interesting that they would choose to go with the bus route, because you don't know what their business strategy would be, and especially if they do some of this construction in Ohio, that would be pretty amazing for them to take advantage of that facility and that space.
Yeah, exactly.
The visual cues of the cars, I mean, look, an EV is an EV now, so they're all basically looking, to me, relatively the same. There's nothing here that really stands out. They look like a hybrid between, say, an Audi and Lucid. They're really not, like, nobody's really making strikingly, amazingly good looking electric cars. Like Mercedes,
right?
theirs wasn't it's just a big jelly bean, right? So they're all following the same
They're pretty
formula,
good, yeah.
which is different from what we're going to see from Honda and whatnot. But overall, this is pretty much directly in line with what we talked about weeks ago, is that if they have a strategy, right? If they do have a strategy to get into the EV market, and they're really looking to piggyback off their technology advancements with what they've done with the iPhone and their assembly processes, and then also building on that with the relationship with Fisker, and now taking advantage of the space with Lordstown, this would be a perfect time to announce this.
Yep.
That's what I think. Their strategy, you know, how they're making it now, choice of names, you know, Foxtronn, and I guess everything, you know, e-tronic, and I guess it kind of fits.
Yeah, Foxtronn, Foxconn, e-tron. Yeah, it's, I don't know. I mean, it's again saying that, right? You're not going to forget Foxconn, Foxtronn. Now you know you're not going to forget it.
I guess.
And the naming convention of Model E, Model T, Model 3, S, X, all that Tesla stuff. Again, they're easy. You're not going to forget them. Although I may say people may confuse them now with, if they're not familiar with Teslas, because now there's just a bunch of model and then a letter of some kind.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, whatever. But
hey, I mean, James just said he thinks the Rimacs look great, but you know, here's the problem: those are multi-million-dollar cars as compared to the average everyday, you know, EVs that people are putting on the roads. And you know, what can you really do with car design right now, based on the technology that's available to you? Cybertruck is probably the most advanced looking design that's taking full advantage of EV underpinnings. So there's a lot there to that. But yeah, I mean, I think this is pretty much Foxconn drilling down through the line and saying this is next in our strategy, right?
Yep. And as we slowly see more of their cards come out again, you know, like I said, with the Lordstown purchase, and it's all kind of coming together. We know they can make high tech things, and so yeah, I see these going somewhere for sure.
There you go.
They got a place to make them, so yeah.
Well, I mean, everybody, I guess, everybody that can get into the EV market is like jumping in 2 feet, making sure that they can put their money on the line about what this market really means, because there's not a lot of chance to become a major automotive player in certain marketplaces. And if Tesla's proven anything, is that you can make inroads against the big three, even others like Volkswagen, Toyota Group, which are massive.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a piece of that pie.
Yep. We don't have to develop ICE engines. Not saying that electric motors are easy, but they don't have to do all the things that find or source a power plant from somebody else.
Right.
You can just do that through something else.
You know what the irony part here for me is? Foxconn is already in a marketplace that already has a lot of people that are in upgrade cycles, right? So when people get on these upgrade cycles for technology goods like this, there's minimal margins. But I'd say probably the other object that people have on their upgrade cycle of, you know, maybe 3 to 5 years is automobiles, right? So that it kind of strikes me as like maybe they see an inroad to their production practices being more fruitful and them getting a little bit more revenue for being able to produce a car at a lower price, and then they're going to take advantage of people basically wanting a new car every 3 to 5 years.
Especially with the whole electric like, not a evolution of electric car of the
yeah, understood.
You know? As people, as their cars, either the lease runs out, or like Mike said, new car, or want a new car, or incentives kind of push them closer to, okay, yeah, I'll get a new car when maybe they wouldn't have.
Right.
And we won't go quite into that, but you know, incentives are out there depending on where you're at. So yeah, I agree with you, Mike.
Could be interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Well, again, thanks for hanging out. Please like, share, subscribe. Hit that bell down below. Let us know, or let you guys know when a new stuff drops. Very much appreciated. And I'll hand it over to Mike for the next.
There you go. All right, so we're going to go from Foxconn right back into another EV manufacturer. And the only difference here is that it's Honda. They're a major player. They already know their way around the ICE engine world. And, well, they have not had massive success in, say, hybrid technology or anything else, so much so to say that they have a player like the Prius. They will be launching a new EV line. It's a sub-EV line. And the ironic part is they look actually pretty fantastic as far as cars go. They are a striking design, somewhere between the average sedan and somewhere between Cybertruck. However, we're not going to see it here in America because they're developing it with having the Chinese market in their focus, and it makes kind of sense there. It looks like they're going with Dongfeng and GAC, that they're going to
Yeah.
be the two companies that they're working with in China, as well as they already have their plans to start producing a vehicle here in 2024 using GM's technology, their Ultim architecture, and they're thinking about actually bringing out their own e-architecture at the end of the decade. However, I'm a little annoyed because, here's the thing. They're bringing home the idea that they want to be in the EV market and that they have a focus point that what they want to do, but they're not making America their primary focus market, which I could understand because there might be better entry level points in China.
Right.
And maybe they take that technology once they've gotten it down to a price point where they can produce it. And it says here in the article that they will be looking forward towards transporting those vehicles out of the Chinese market as well. And they have 10 new models that will debut as part of their electric lineup only. But it's kind of like the same old thing. The name of the brand is going to be EN, which is, I'm not really sure if the N stands for new or next, and the E for technology, but I don't really know if that really makes a big impact here. But the exterior designs are gorgeous. They look, actually, is comparative to what I just said before. They actually look striking. They actually look good. But we won't get them. So what's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, same. I mean, again, Honda's kind of capitalizing on I'd say not polarizing, but the strike, initial impressions as people see these things, they probably, at least in my case, you look at this and you're gonna say, oh, that's a Honda. Like, you could definitely see that. If you saw that and then you knew about the car, you'd be like, okay, cool, it's a Honda. You wouldn't look at that and say, oh, that's I don't even know what car that is. It looks like generic A, B, C sedan or whatever it is.
Right.
And so that's something definitely that that does, I think, plays in their favor, at least with me as well. Maybe the younger crowd or somebody looking for something a bit more edgy. Anybody that may have been interested in like a Tesla, some of the edgier Teslas, or like a Lyric, the new Lyric that just came out, it kind of gives me a little bit of those vibes too. Especially that really big light bar there, which I guess is going to be production, not just concept. So yeah, and I like it too. As far as them going just to China, of course that's a huge market, like massive market as well. And they're probably going to see if they can make it work over there. And then, like I said, maybe try to bring it over here too. I mean, well, I guess we'll see. Yeah.
It's interesting to me that even in the article they say that it already contains badging problems because the N brand, which is known by Hyundai, to have their performance sub brand already placed in there, for them to be producing vehicles with an EN branding might cause some sort of confusion. Number one, but to me, it's just I kind of think that America, they have the thought in their head that America might be slower to adapt to electric vehicles than they think, or maybe that they believe that they can make greater inroads. However, I just think maybe on global branding strategy, it's a little bit like annoying to know that they might not be able to get a vehicle with that kind of striking bold lines that might do really well with some buyers here in America, might not be able to land in America. And that's not a super knock, but it is a knock against Honda for saying, hey, man, take the risk, bring it to America, see what happens. If you're already producing them in China, you already got costs that that are associated with it. Maybe there's an importation tax that could be a big issue for the fact that there's not enough, quantity of items to come over here.
That's the next thing I'm gonna say about supply.
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, there's so many things about supply chain that are going on, and they're all related. But if you hear about general supply chain issues for whatever market sector you're talking about, they don't all mean that just there's somebody waiting on a shipping container. It could just be somebody can get the raw supply. Again, somebody can't get it out the door. Maybe they can unload it somewhere or something else. So maybe that could be part of this. They're just gonna say, hey, we're gonna go in the Asia region, where we know we can make this work now.
Right. That
and
makes sense.
Just move with that strategy, possibly. I don't know.
I don't know. UCF Knight has a nice comment here. He says, how do the technologies differ from all the new EV cars popping up? And does Tesla have any competition when it comes to EV? Well, we've diagnosed that quite a few times here on the channel, which EV technology is EV technology. What's really going to change the landscape of that is going to be how good your battery technology is and what kind of range do you have, right? Basically, when it comes to that, outside of putting maybe transmissions in it like the Porsche Turbo Taycan has inside, you're really not seeing too many different styles of doing it. Although designs and overall, like I think Rivian's got an excellent design. They've got some advantages. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's there, and I'm just going to kick over to Corey in a second.
Sure,
But
yeah,
do they have any competition? 3 places they have zero competition. They have the best
yeah.
infrastructure, they have known quantity of sales, and they have moved up the performance line where other people haven't even gotten into the marketplace like Lucid. Everybody else can promise you big numbers, but Tesla's delivering things like the Plaid and other market branding strategies that they've got, like a Halo car that's landed already.
Yeah.
So, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, partly too with that thing about Tesla. Been hearing, of course, I just mentioned about supply chain issues, semiconductor issues too. Tesla, you may have seen they had really high delivery numbers for cars just
Yeah.
recently too, and people are kind of wondering, how did they do that? Where are their supply chain issues, at least for semiconductors, electronics parts. And actually, that's because they ended up making some stuff in house. They saw it coming, and their vertical integration is to such a degree they were able to just make a lot of those components that the other people haven't tried to get from outsourced but can't get.
Right.
Tesla's like, well, we'll pivot, whatever this group is, and we'll make these, and boom, we can stuff. So that's an advantage. Maybe not necessarily EV tech, but going along with your question of how is EV tech different, I think maybe it just is what it is. When you talk about EV tech, you talk about, of course, batteries, powertrains, all the fly by wire, all that stuff too. But I think you can't ignore like the auto driving aspect.
Yeah, you just hit on it. There was one
yeah.
last one I was going to go to.
Yeah, the auto driving aspect. And I mean, you've been following how Tesla works or their approach now lately versus everybody else too. Tesla's going very much purely visual, right? They had other systems on board, but now they've kind of pivoted away to going just completely cameras and AI and
their neural net.
Yeah,
their neural net,
which is very impressive. There's some really cool videos explaining how their neural net processes all that information. We can't possibly get into that with this here too, but and of course where that goes, that depends on software, right? Neural net and software. So as far as can anybody compete with Tesla elite in the auto drive space, that's an evolving thing.
This is
and
disappointing.
A lot of companies are going LiDAR. There's other companies going other directions. So competing, we haven't really seen the full mature versions of either of these technologies. So
I have to interrupt because this is disappointing on Honda's behalf, right? Because Honda has a real opportunity as a number one branding, company in America that has a good quality brand name overall to actually do some damage in the EV market here. And this is kind of an undersell I think on Honda's behalf, where sure they could just electrify some of their existing models and say, hey, we're on board with this. But if they want to introduce a striking design and have the technology, going back to what the question is, that could possibly render excellent competition at Tesla. Hey, Honda's got an installed user base in this country and Accord drivers and many other lines that that would be a huge advantage for them to take advantage of. So that's why I'm also kind of disappointed, right?
Yeah.
Big side.
These established brands, we'll just have to see what happens with Honda.
Or are they that gun shy? Are they all just upset that they might not be able to compete with Tesla? Who knows? I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't know.
I mean, because
I got nothing else for that, I guess.
Well, here's the thing: you already have a Model 3. You have a great car, which is the ultimate competitor in the EV market right now, which is where everybody wants to be, which is the 4-door sedan. Maybe the Model Y might be seen as being more attractive right now because more people are in the small SUVs. But he's already a Tesla purchaser, so for him, the quality is already there, right? And you're already happy.
Well, I mean, sure, I'm a little bit not jaded, but a little bit like biased because I do own one of the things that we talk about. But I will certainly be the first one to tell you the things that don't always go right. I know with their Autopilot rollout, there's Autopilot Beta. I know we're a little here, but the Autopilot Beta for Tesla's auto driving technology kind of being rolled out like to special users that only have like it's an onboard system that kind of measures how safely you drive over an amount of time, and then it gives you a rating. And if your rating is 100%, you may get the Autopilot Beta. So, and that's a little bit of
a problem.
A problem because people that have already paid for the full package for Autopilot doesn't mean you're going to get it because
no, I get it.
You still have to like pass this other gate. You have to be a good enough driver
to get there
to get it, even though you paid for it. And some of the people paid $10,000. Full disclosure, I did not get full self driving, and I don't intend to. It's just I just don't. I didn't want to.
So let me rephrase this. I'm going to rephrase this towards the end of the video because I'm going to title the video probably this. Is Honda really just afraid of Tesla? Okay, is that why they really don't want to come to America with this brand of EVs? Let us know in the comments below if you agree with that, if you think I'm completely off my rocker in that statement. But look, let's face it. These guys could land a product that could be competitive, and they're just not doing it. So
And that too down in the comments below. I know actually some of the people that I talked to that watch the channel do have Hondas, and they're quite happy with Hondas. And they've had a lot of Hondas in the past.
So,
would any of you guys be interested in the Honda products we showed here? If it was something that was at, the local dealer that you could test drive.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
What do you think?
Let us know.
Yeah.
All right, we got to move on to the next topic. And now, no problem, UFC Night. We try to get to everything that we see in chat when we're doing the show. So anyhow, thanks for the comment. We appreciate it. Kept the conversation lively. Like, subscribe, follow. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And the conversation about all these EVs will continue. So time to move on to the next topic. Let me see. There's one that I wanted to close here before you go, and I think I closed the wrong one. Oh no, I didn't. Okay, here I had to get your next one up, and I didn't know if I had closed it or not. Ooh. By the way, UFC Knight says, I disagree. I would be more afraid of China.
Well, Neo is definitely valid.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot going on there.
There's a lot, sure. Maybe we should take a look at that as another discussion. Maybe later on in the show, and not in this show, but another show. So anyhow, Corey's got something to talk to you about here about actually who's investing the most amount of money in actual driving technology. So without further ado,
perfectly into what we're talking about, just showing where kind of the dollars and cents are going. So yeah, this one it's called "Guess Who's the Biggest Investor in Self-Driving Tech." And the title says it rhymes with Bambung. I mean, Bambung. Yeah, sure, okay, whatever. Yeah, exactly. Basically, it's a so the study comes from they're called Leasing Options.
Mm-hmm.
It's a British company that did a study, and it reveals basically how much investment's been done since 2014. It covers 2014 to 2021.
Mm-hmm.
The total is 44 billion. Quite a bit of money, sure. And out of the top 10, 5 of them are automakers you would certainly recognize the name. They're makers. That's no surprise there. But the top spot is actually captured by Samsung.
What the?
Which is a bit of a like, wait, what? But then you go down and you look at it, basically, and it's maybe worth just to say that they haven't invested anything since 2017, and that was the 8 billion in 2017, and that was when they bought U.S. car infotainment and audio developer Harman. So I'm sure there's a long game there, and maybe since we haven't really seen, we don't really know exactly what it is just yet.
Mm-hmm.
But that was 8 billion all at once back in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Samsung at the top of the list. Interesting.
Really.
Out of the other ones we said, the top 5 or in the top 10, the 5 you would certainly know: Toyota, General Motors, Hyundai, Volkswagen, and Honda.
Mm-hmm.
Just talked about Honda a moment ago. Some of those if you kind of follow where the dollars go, for example, like Uber and Lyft, they're in here, but not by name. A while back, Uber sold its self-driving division to Aurora, a company called Aurora, and actually, surprisingly enough, Amazon invested in Aurora,
mm-hmm.
and you'll also see that actually Amazon's on this list, which is possibly another thing that maybe is a bit interesting.
And Apple.
One of the people from Waymo, if you know who Waymo was, that company that does self-driving as well, they're over at Aurora, so that maybe too. But yeah, man, what do you think?
I think it's incredible that you don't see Tesla on this list, number one. Number two, I see that Microsoft is so late to the game in my mind, but they've put in less than $1 billion. But it's the staggering amount that Samsung has put in above and beyond.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to say
that's
all
massive.
At once. But
yeah,
it's still valid. Yeah,
but it doesn't make a difference because they dwarf everybody on the list. Toyota, which is in the space already of actually producing self-driving cars or wanting to produce self-driving cars. Now, I understand Samsung's point of view.
Sure.
They're a chip manufacturer, right? They definitely have their investment strategies aligned with, we want to do things that are going to definitely give us an advantage towards the circuit boards and stuff that we're going to sets that we're going to need for the future. That makes logical sense. The company that I would say that people don't estimate enough that has the power in this group, there's 3 of them. Number one, VW Group, I think their strategies are coming along stronger than a lot of people think. Number one. Number two, Volvo is offering a self-driving vehicle that is going to have the LiDAR and other technologies, which I think people underestimate. And lastly, Apple. And I'm going to tell you why Apple is one of the bigger players than people actually think about, is because now that Apple's actually in the process of building their own silica and they're actually making that M1 chip more power efficient and more powerful and bringing more cores on board, like they just announced with the new MacBook
Yeah, I just
Pros.
saw it this morning actually.
Yeah, that chipset is strong, and I don't think people know the potential of what's really going to be able for them to do with it in the not too distant future. So I think those are the three most undersold. Why Tesla's not on that list and how much money they've actually invested is beyond me.
Well, what do you think about just kind of going with what you said about Apple though? And there's going to be an Apple car. I mean, we've hearing that for years, off and on. You know, it's kind of like the Dyson car. We know that didn't happen, and that was before auto driving and all that. But nevertheless,
you know, I'm still waiting for Apple glasses. I'm still waiting for
Yeah.
Apple this, Apple that.
we did a whole segment on Apple vaporware. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
It happens that Apple has this contingency plan that they want to be maybe in the conversation of every marketplace that they enter, but they're not actually the focal point, and it gives them the availability to see what others do and then maybe enter a little bit later. Because let's face it, their phones are always a couple of years behind in certain technological advancements that, you know, other manufacturers have, and then they land something like, I don't know, an infrared sensor on the phone that nobody knows what they're doing with it yet for augmented reality, and maybe it's got a huge payoff later on or not.
Right.
It's never count out Apple because they have the opportunity to innovate. Do they always innovate? No, but they have the opportunity to innovate. Right? That would be my point.
Yeah.
What about you? What about Google?
Well,
Because I
needs
don't.
to be seen a little bit to see where Google. I guess saying a little bit about that. I mean, tomorrow there's actually an event for Google's. Well, whatever they're going to announce. We know there's a phone in there for sure.
Mhm.
We'll see what happens there. Their new chip is made in house partially. And we'll see how powerful it is really out in the open. I've been seeing some benchmarks, and again, they're just pre-benchmarks. They could be just not even optimized, whatever. But some of the benchmarks from the new Google phone saying that it's actually not as fast as Samsung's. I think it's the 888. I might be 888 chip, but nevertheless, we'll see if it has any applications.
But they're not even on this list yet, though, right? Google's not here. They're not
No, I don't see
represented
it on
as
the list,
no, and that's the thing. So I mean, Google's always been rumored to have a car, right?
Yeah, it's Waymo. And yeah, it's not on the list. And actually, when I was telling Mike, and I don't know the answer to this, it may just not be something that they were able to find in Waymo and then Tesla. No, they're spending money.
They have
and
to.
we don't know. They're not on the list. So I wouldn't just say, oh, they're not on the list. It's definitely not that much. I just telling you guys, we'd have to try to find out more information to see actually how much investment they've done since, let's say, 2014. Get apples to apples comparison.
So even in the top 10, let's look top 10, right? You have Samsung, obviously, which is the biggest surprise of the entire list at 8 billion, Toyota at 5 billion, General Motors at 4,850 million. You have SoftBank, which actually is a conglomerate that's actually working on a couple of different variants in there with about 3.5 billion, Hyundai 3 billion, VW Group 2.7 billion. You have Amazon at 2.1 billion plus, and then Aptiv, which is 2 billion, and then Honda. And it's really, really interesting because we cover a lot of the self-driving technologies. Because what was it, the Dream Cloud? What is that was just introduced by Lucid last week?
Dream Air,
whatever.
Or you mean the tech?
Yeah, they're what's it called?
Dream Drive.
Dream
Pro.
Drive.
Yep.
And you know, we also took a look at what was one of the other ones for Tesla and their self-driving capability. And look, everybody wants to get in on the game, and we know that level 3, level 4, level 5 is a big discussion. And there's lots of people out there that think that level 5 will never happen as well. And then lastly, I want to see within the next 2 years another study done to see how people trust the ability of self-driving cars, because just 7-8 years ago, the market was overwhelmingly against self-driving cars. And they've seen almost a 30 and 40% increase in people willing to adapt that technology and take it on in the recent couple of years. So that's a big statement to see where all the money could be installed. You know,
it's very nice to see that kind of parallel, because just as we talk about with air taxis, there's all the hurdles of air taxis structure to sound or noise pollution. But going straight along with that, also there's will people actually trust enough to get on board when they know there's no pilot on board, or it's fully autonomous or mostly autonomous?
Sure.
That analog goes straight across the aisle to cars, and a lot of the people talk about it in the comments as well, or a few people talk about it. that level 5 on the street is not like, let's quote, some type of level 5 in the air.
Right.
It's a 3D space versus 2D space, but I agree, right? You're not going to have somebody step off a curb and you're going to have to slam on the brakes when you're flying around in the air because it's not a thing.
No, understood. Yeah.
So I get that. So it's
Interesting.
we'll have to see how apt people are to get on board. And leave us in the comments below. What do you guys think? If somebody said tomorrow full self-driving works, level 5, they've shown it in plenty of videos, it works, it's for sale, would you buy it? And then would you ever use it, or would you put your kid in it and go somewhere, right? Making it kind of saying, oh, would you do that to your grandma, or would you take your grandmother? Kind of that, your family. Would you put somebody else other than you on board, and would you trust it enough? So
yeah. Okay, yeah, Corey's audio said, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, let us know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, follow, and we'll go from there. Yeah, your audio is going out when you move away from the mic for some reason.
Can we turn it up one?
I
know it's not volume, it's probably the noise gate. I get that.
All right, let's do this. We'll change that a little bit. So see if go ahead, give me an audio on you.
Testing. So if I'm talking and back, does it go?
Yeah, it's still, hold on. It's still, let's do this then.
CF Knight says, while we're doing audio evaluation here, I would not be an early adopter. So yeah, if you're talking about the air taxi stuff, for sure, and for that reason, actually, on cars as well, if level 5 was approved by some manufacturer, whoever it might be, and then even the DOT or whoever wants to sign off on it says, yep, fine, whatever, there's going to be the same question marks as far as like insurance, liability, all that's going to be the same. And then of course, yeah, sure, how safe,
there you go,
would you, if it's, how safe is it? But anyway, we'll have to see.
We'll have to see. I mean, as far as early adapting goes, I'm a pretty big early adapter, but to me it just kind of seems like
early adopter versus early adopter that can kill you.
Well, wait. Okay, so I'm used to being in an aircraft that I also know that has autopilot and had it active with many people in the back that could be.
It's been through rigorous training though, and you know how to troubleshoot failures.
As long as I knew I could deactivate the thing in a heartbeat just by stepping on the brakes, and it would be in override mode just like a cruise control, I would have no problem with it. Now, if we had heard reports about the fact that that wasn't a system that was implemented or it didn't work, where people went to go take back control and it failed. Well,
that's another thing too, just to be clarified, right? I wouldn't sit in the back seat of any car that says level 5 because I'm just not there yet. I would never trust that. And on the second half of that note too, if you're not a pilot or anybody who's been around planes or anything, when an autopilot on an airplane doesn't mean you can't do anything. It doesn't mean you can totally relax.
No, it'll do stuff that you don't want it to sometimes,
and give it full control. And that's not how that works. So you're still there to monitor and make sure, and you can decouple or turn it off if any time you need to, and there's certainly times when you would. So it's just something to know.
I think we did a video a long time ago about integration and automation and how some people have a problem understanding that it's going to be a lot more complex to get humans behind the wheel to understand the technology that they bought without some significant level of training.
User error, yeah.
Yeah, because user error is going to increase, but then the problem is going to be deciphering down to the systematic set of events that took place, and wasn't an actual automation problem where the actual automation failed, or did the human cause an error for the automation not to be used specifically in the way that it should have, like A, falling asleep and not monitoring, B, climbing in the back seat and expecting it to drive 95 miles an hour, and then the system switched off because it doesn't have a seat sensor or something.
Yeah,
lots of different things there. So all right, we got to move on.
Yep. Thanks for the comments.
Thanks for the comments, though, because it makes the conversation way more
this is what it's all
interesting.
About.
Sure. Okay, this one is finally coming to you from a company called Cyclotech, and they've got a totally revolutionary, or they call it evolutionary of motion, and it's actually unique. It looks pretty cool. Gonna roll this video here really quick, and then we're gonna give you our summary on what we actually think about their technology and how it might hold up in the eVTOL markets. So without further ado, here goes their video of their first flight of their Cyclotech. Hmm. All right, so while it spins down, this is our first flight from August 20th, 2021. It looked fairly, rudimentary as far as what they wanted to do with their aircraft.
Right.
Now, a couple of things that I just want to mention. Their music, obviously, we're going to get flagged because it's not ours, so we might get, potentially demonetized on this video because of that. They have a great website with a lot of information on it. However, I'm not sure if that music was loud enough or soft enough to make us understand exactly what level of noise to expect from the actual, the development of their actual technology, number one. And I think number two, the other big thing there that's the takeaway is it is in a garage, which means it's a controlled environment. There's not a lot of variables because they're in early testing. So the only thing you can garnish from it right now is that it flies.
That's why, yeah.
Yeah. What's your thoughts there?
It's definitely a different design. Out of the ordinary. I mean, using basically thinking about how it works, certainly makes sense that it would work. If you look into it a little bit more, it talks about how it basically that the actual rotors as they spin, they can generate or they can direct the thrust 360 degrees in any way around that device, like any direction. And so that goes right along with my next thought of like, okay, we always when we look at these things and we look at rotating components or anything that's moving outside the exterior of the vehicle, you always have to try to think about, physically, however it might unfortunately be physically damaged by birds, debris, anything that may get into that rotating component and damage its efficiency or make it stop working. And so, just thinking about that too, I think, okay, having them just said it works in 360 degrees, you can't put a shroud around this because it doesn't work that way. It needs to be open,
right?
And basically any direction. So, it at least now, and maybe we could ponder a little bit more. And there's many creative engineers that may be able to figure out how to maybe do that differently. But it looks like they're going to be hanging out there in the open, at least for the time being.
Sure.
They've talked about having multiple rotors at each, like let's say corner, in case for redundancy, which again makes sense. There's certainly those things to be considered as well. So initially, it's interesting design. I'm wondering about the sound, just like you are. I'm wondering about how much payload it actually can carry. Which obviously depends on how much weight or thrust the actual devices can hold, how much weight how much thrust they can generate.
Limits of forward airspeed is another one that I'm concerned about.
It does say that actually it gets more efficient, better performance the faster the airspeed that it gets. Which thinking about it, how the blades are oriented, probably doesn't make is certainly something you could see. I mean, I don't know. We just found this. We're kind of a late entry to the show, so I wanted to bring it up. But what do you think, man?
All right. So first off, they still don't have a solution on one of my favorite things to talk about is whenever you put something up in the air, how is it going to handle moisture content in the air and fast rotating speeds, which is going to reduce the temperature of the air operating around it. And if this thing is susceptible to icing, that's number one. Number two, the other part of it is that all this equipment where it says A New Dawn, this big silver part with all these control rods, those are fairly complex. And if the outside, exposed rotor system isn't, impacted by something, I'm wondering what the controllability standards are going to be like and how durable that equipment has to be, because it looks like to me at that level that it is fairly complex. And anytime you add complexity to a situation, you have to understand that it also adds maintenance costs, it adds downtime, it adds more parts that are lifetime limited. There's a lot of carbon fiber also in this design that it looks like it's going to have to use exotic materials in order to achieve this, which means there's an expense there. Also, the other part of it is, what are the vibrations of this system and how do they calibrate or keep it basically with a rotor system or anything that's rotational, just like balancing a tire on your car, right? Is there a moment in time where these things can become unbalanced? Is there any stability issues? Because we know that there's a lot of forces if you land a helicopter inappropriately and it shifts its balance. It can throw these certain percentage of the rotary systems out of phase and it will dynamically destroy itself. So I'm wondering if there's other parts that are susceptible to this system that are drawbacks that we don't know about yet because it hasn't been explored. And to me, it looks like it has complexity. And when you get into complex systems, you have to be available to the fact that they're more complex, the more maintenance, the more that you're going to have to go through in your development cycle in order to get out there and make it fly.
Yeah, it's interesting. You just mentioned something that also about out of balance. I don't know what speed these devices rotate at. They look like they move quite quickly, and that would go right along with what he was saying about things being out of balance. I mean, one thing it's something interesting that you just find out right about is well, when you flew helicopters. Actually, I took off one time and I was hovering away from the ramp, and a plastic bag from Publix or whatever was blown across the ramp, and just so happened it blew up in my rotor system, the main rotor blades, and just got caught on the blade. It didn't damage the blade at all.
Right.
It's just a bag. Even the my blades were going light speeds, but nevertheless didn't damage the bag. It's just or the rotor, but it put the whole system out of balance.
Oh
And
yeah.
just a plastic bag.
Oh yeah, I bet.
You're like, wow, we cannot proceed. We need to return to the ramp, and that's certainly what we did. And,
yeah.
So out of balance. But I guess where I'm going with that is there's a few things that kind of make more sense, right? You've got the weight of whatever's stuck to it, but you got the arm of how far away it's rotating away from the center of rotation.
Yeah.
And then speed, of course, the speed at which it rotates. So these things don't look like they're huge.
No.
But they look like they rotate really quickly.
But this is going to be that's going to be with scale, though, right? So as this system scales up, all that rotational mass increases. The force that you have to push those things through the air increases. And to speak of what Corey said, I've also been in a helicopter before that had a minor malfunction, okay, and the instrument cluster on the actual aircraft shook to the point where it felt like there was a washing machine with 2 wet blankets in it, okay, and it's an immediate offsetting experience where you get literally 30 40 then you're at 150 feet, and by the time you've actually pulled enough pitch and the entire
you can't even read it anymore.
You can't read the instrument cluster
panel's doing this, and you're like, I can't even read it.
I can't even read this anymore. And you're like, well, we definitely have an emergency at this point, so it's going to be either an emergency or precautionary landing. The question is, can we just literally turn back, and now we're over trees, and we need to turn back to where we just were. So it happens. So we're not trying to knock their tech, right? So
no,
not at all. What we're trying to do is introduce the questions of the things that they're going to have to hit in the not too distant future about what it's really like to fly these things from the perspective of once it's airborne, what are the challenges that you don't know? Another one's going to be, how does it really handle crosswinds? How does it handle, wind conditions where if you take this and try to put it into a smaller area, can it induce its own vortices because it's generating a certain amount of lift, which is another thing that could be a good question. Like, is there a point if this thing is traveling forward through space that the amount of air that's directed from the front one can somehow impact the rear rotating assembly, and it reduces your lift on that side? I don't know. Good questions to be asked, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Not sure. I mean, again, it's pretty early, at least for what we can see from them. So we'll definitely keep track and see, because I am interested. It's interesting design. We're always looking for things that are interesting and make you think, and looking at other innovative ways people try to do things that solve old problems with new ideas. It's all interesting, but we'll just have to see.
Okay, and I just have to say this because this is one of the reasons why I really like Jetupterra's technology, because the fact that they've done away with all this rotational mass, they've done away with a lot of these things of moving parts and these exposed pieces that have to be figured out, that need to be put together. They are just doing straight up lift. And straight up vectored lift is a really great solution, especially if you can multiply it by 10 times of what your original factor was. So I have to say that, because in an advantage or disadvantage situation, well, I like these guys and their ideas, because in an industrial capacity without humans on board might not be a bad technology. Still pulling for other players in the space that are going after revolutionary or evolutionary technologies in a way to produce thrust. So those are my thoughts, at least.
Nope.
Let us know what you think in the comments below. Matter of fact, if you think this is a better solution than what's currently out in the marketplace, or what you think might be the best solution to the eVTOL or urban air mobility marketplace, and if you see these guys as serious players, or if they just might not make it, let us know in the comments below, and we'll be sure to address them. With that, the time is up. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you everybody for the comments and the questions.
Oh yeah.
You guys really bring out the best in the show when you show up. We wish we had more participation. And again, look forward to in the next 2 weeks, we're going to be moving to a night schedule, and we're not sure what nights we're going to do. So let us know in the comments below what you think nights would be great for you guys to tune in. We're still looking at doing 3 shows per week, which will keep the content flowing, and hopefully we'll be able to participate in those things. And then, unfortunately, no more day coverage of rocket launches, but night launches are still on the schedule.
Yep, we'll have to see. And then we do have some launches coming up. We're still trying to figure out our own schedule, how that's going to work. There's some launches scheduled for the weekend of the 30th. Possibly a double launch.
Is it the weekend of the 30th now
We'll
that they
see.
moved it
We'll
to?
see how it's gonna work. I'm making no guarantees, but we'll see.
Woohoo!
Last time I checked, it was the 30th. That was a manned launch and a Starlink launch. A number of hours away from each other. They're super early. Talking like 2 o'clock and 5 a.m. So really early, but we'll let you know.
We'll let you know. Thanks everybody for tuning in today, and we will get back to you on Wednesday with another full show. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Take care.
Take it easy.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Uh-oh. Wait. No audio?
Where's Harris?
Harris Heller's music is gone? No, it's there.
Play me an outro.
Oh, it's there. I turned them down. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. We appreciate all the comments. And if you got some content you want us to look up, please suggest it below.
Just nope.
That'd be great. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Peace.